What if the battles you're fighting every day, the anger at careless people, the fear of saying no, the shame of being misunderstood, were never really about today at all? What if every reaction you can't control is a silent echo from your childhood, an old wound, still open, still shaping who you are? In this video, we'll uncover 6 hidden childhood trauma triggers that control your emotions, your relationships, and even your success, without you realizing it. By the end, you won't just understand yourself better. You'll finally see the invisible strings that have been pulling at your life all along. Stay with me, because once you see these truths, you can never unsee them. Before we dive in, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss new psychology insights. Have you ever noticed how certain ordinary situations trigger you far more than they should? A careless driver cuts you off, a coworker doesn't acknowledge your effort, or a friend forgets to thank you, and suddenly you feel a wave of frustration, shame, or even rage that feels completely out of proportion. These aren't just random overreactions. They are echoes of the past, silent signals from childhood trauma that you may never have recognized. Psychology shows us that our inner child, the part of us that absorbed wounds in early life, does not disappear with age. Instead, it hides in the nervous system, in the emotional memory of the limbic brain. And whenever daily life mirrors those old wounds, the adult self is pushed aside. The child steps forward, demanding to be heard. That is what we call a trauma trigger. One of the most common, yet least understood triggers is encountering people who are thoughtless or oblivious. Someone ignores your pain, monopolizes a conversation, or fails to show basic courtesy. To others, it's a minor annoyance. To you, it might feel like an earthquake. Because if you grew up with parents who were self-absorbed, narcissistic, or emotionally absent, every careless act around you reopens the wound of neglect. Suddenly, you're not just irritated, you're reliving the loneliness of being unseen as a child. Another hidden trigger is the silent expectation that others should read your mind. You may not voice your needs, but you hope your partner notices you're exhausted, or your boss appreciates the effort you poured into a task. When they don't, anger builds. Why? Because as children, we longed for parents who could sense our needs without words. When they failed, we carried that unspoken expectation into adulthood. The disappointment today isn't about the boss or the partner. It's about the unmet need from decades ago. Closely tied to this is the struggle to say no. Many survivors of childhood trauma were shamed for setting boundaries. Saying no meant being selfish, ungrateful, or unloved. So as adults, we agree to things we don't want, drowning in obligations, only to end up resentful. We sabotage ourselves not because we want to, but because deep inside, the child in us is still terrified of rejection. And what about when someone is angry with you, or when you feel misunderstood? For most people, it's unpleasant. For trauma survivors, it can be devastating. That disapproving look from a boss, that sigh from a partner, or that accusation from a sibling, all of it reactivates the old terror of being scolded or shamed by caregivers. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between then and now. It simply floods you with fear, pushing you to defend, over-explain, or collapse under guilt. Then comes the most complex trigger, the combination of mind reading and saying no. You expect others to know your struggle, to recognize how much you're carrying, and when they don't, you still agree to more than you can handle. Later you break down, furious at them for not noticing. But the truth is, this anger belongs to the child who once screamed silently, "Why don't you see me?" The adult agrees to requests, but the child resents the world for ignoring its pain. Finally, there is the wound of not feeling valued. When your boss overlooks your hard work, when your partner fails to recognize your efforts, or when your family minimizes your contributions, it cuts deep. Because deep down, the child in you remembers what it was like to strive endlessly for approval that never came. Every lack of recognition today is a mirror reflecting that unmet need for validation in childhood. These triggers may look different on the surface, but they all share one thing. They blur the line between past and present. They drag the child into today's reality and silence the adult self that could respond calmly, wisely, and with boundaries. The good news? Awareness is the first step to freedom. Once you see the pattern, you're no longer trapped inside it. You begin to separate the echoes of childhood from the truth of adulthood. You learn to pause, to breathe, and to remind yourself, this reaction belongs to my past, not my present. Understanding these 6 hidden trauma triggers isn't just about psychology. It's about reclaiming your life. It's about breaking the invisible chains that pull you into old pain and learning how to step forward as the adult you were always meant to be. Every hidden trigger is not just a sign of weakness. It's a map. A map that points directly to the places where your childhood was stolen, where your voice was silenced, and where your needs were ignored. When you finally see these 6 trauma triggers for what they are, you stop blaming yourself for being too sensitive or too reactive. Instead, you begin to understand. Your reactions are not random. They are the language of your past, asking to be healed. And here is the truth. Healing doesn't mean erasing the child inside you. Healing means finally becoming the parent that child always needed. It means saying no without shame. It means standing calm in the face of anger. It means no longer waiting for others to read your mind, because you've learned to speak your truth. If you stay with me until now, you already know. This isn't just another psychology video. This is a chance to see yourself clearly, maybe for the first time. So carry this with you. Your triggers are not the enemy. They are the invitation. The question is, are you ready to answer it? Before you leave, don't miss the next video. The hidden darkness of human nature. What no one tells you. It reveals the truths about people that no one dares to speak. And once you see it, you'll never see human nature the same way again.